Project Extra Mile, and our organization works to prevent underage drinking and excessive drinking by adults.
All right, great. So, youth have obviously encountered alcohol in one way or another. Maybe they've heard about friends doing it, maybe they see adults doing it. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest concerns you have about young people starting to drink alcohol before they're 21?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so important that we in the United States have the drinking law as 21, but a lot of other countries have it lower, and we see a lot more problems in those countries around underage drinking. So one thing that we know is really important is to hold off drinking as long as possible, because the youth's brain continues to develop into their mid-20s actually. So even when they turn legally of age, their brain is still developing, and that alcohol consumption can really impact that. And if they start too early, it can really increase the likelihood that they'll become dependent on alcohol later in life. So it is super important to wait. And and it's not just it's not just a decision that youth need to make on their own, but also the community needs to make to ensure that adults aren't contributing to underage drinking. They're not allowing it to happen, because we do have those laws in place, and if adults follow the law, then youth will find it very difficult to find that alcohol. So that's important.
Okay. So you touched on a little bit about brain development, but what are some other the physical effects that kids might experience?
Well, yeah, so it impairs your ability to make rational decisions. So that part of the brain that controls that, and obviously in young people it's already not fully developed. So they're already more risk. They're more likely to take risks than adults. And then when you introduce alcohol into that equation, that can lead to some serious harm. So obviously they can, if they drink, they can get themselves into dangerous situations, whether it's behind the wheel of a vehicle or in intimate situations as well. Like alcohol really just impedes our ability to make good, rational decisions.
Okay. So as far as locally, what are some of the biggest issues you see with young people and alcohol here in Omaha or the greater Omaha area?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily unique to Omaha. I would say the problems are pretty widespread across the United States and even globally, and it's really looking at how inexpensive is alcohol. So we really need to make alcohol more expensive, and thereby making it less accessible to youth, because obviously they don't have full-time incomes. And its availability, so where is it sold at? Where can you purchase it? How easy is it for youth to attempt to purchase it at one location, say no, and then just walk next door, try at a different location? So the availability, the affordability of alcohol, and then also the advertising and how it targets youth. I don't know if anybody has ever paid attention to the Super Bowl. A lot of the ads that are connected to alcohol are very very fantasy oriented, and that appeals to youth. And all the ads look like everybody's having a great time. A lot of times the actors are barely of age. So that's obviously youth identify with younger people. They look up to celebrities. A lot of times you see celebrity endorsements around alcohol as well. So yeah, there's a lot of areas where we could definitely improve, not only in Omaha and Nebraska, but across the country.
So I know some youth have probably heard some terms out there. Maybe you can just clarify for us, like binge drinking.
Yeah. So binge drinking is when you're drinking to intoxication, essentially.
Okay.
It's when you're drinking, and this is for adults, by the way. So underage drinking is any drinking of alcohol if you're under the legal age, and that's considered excessive drinking. As is binge drinking. So for adults, it's 4 or more drinks for a female and 5 or more drinks for a male. The reason for that is, men typically, on average, metabolize alcohol a little slower than females, so their body can handle a little bit more. But there have been efforts to kind of reduce those limits to make them equal, but those have been fought by the alcohol industry at the national level.
All right. So for some of our viewers who might be concerned about a friend maybe who's started to experiment with alcohol or drinking excessively, are there any suggestions you might have for that person, what they can do to help their friend?
Yeah, that's obviously a tough situation to be in. You want to help your friend. I would definitely encourage the friend to find other things to do. Like if that friend's concerned, maybe they can spend more time doing things that don't involve alcohol. Give them an outlet for that kind of activity where they won't need to do that or feel the need to do that. But there are a bunch of treatment facilities in the Omaha area that not only focus on adults, but also can help youth through any kind of substance abuse issues that they may have. Obviously, encourage that youth to talk to their parents, to talk to their school counselors. I think there are a number of adults in the community that are ready and willing to help. If they're willing to reach out and make that first contact.
Okay, great. So you did mention parents and talking to them. What role do parents play in preventing youth alcohol use or other substance use?
Well, I think in most families the parent is going to be a very influential person, and in what the youth does or doesn't do. So having that constant communication, not making sure that topic is not taboo, so that your child feels comfortable talking to you about that. Your parents can play a very critical role, in addition to kind of the stuff that we already covered. Making alcohol more expensive, less accessible. These are all really important things. There's no one single solution to this problem. It really has to come from a lot of different places.
All right, so talking a little bit more about what youth can do. Like, what are some specific examples of things that youth can get involved with or do to help reduce alcohol use?
Yeah, sure. I think everybody would agree. Definitely don't start drinking if you're not drinking. If you are drinking, stop. But beyond that, if you want to think bigger, beyond just helping out friends or worrying about your keeping yourself healthy and safe, is you could think about your school and what policies they have around alcohol. Perhaps they're not as strong as you might think, and so you could strengthen those. Or maybe you have a SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions group at your school. You could join that. Or if you don't have one, you could always reach out and maybe start a new chapter at your school. Or you could think bigger than that. How about around your school, in your neighborhood? Think about all of the businesses that sell alcohol and all of the ads they have up in the windows. Those having that many outlets in the community can increase crime and a lot of can bring bad things to a community. So you could be involved in that. You could write an email. That's all it takes, is to email your city council member to say, I don't think we should grant this business because there's already too many. I see my friends getting alcohol from the businesses that are already in our community, for example. Or you could reach out to the legislature, and you could really work towards getting those big policy changes, which would be making alcohol more expensive or less available. So there are multiple levels at which you can be involved and really take the lead in your community on this issue.